Hi, I'm Brian Moran, founder of Government CIO. Welcome to Government CIO Magazine.
Hi, this is Hillary Wax with Government CIO Magazine. Today we'll be speaking with Casey Coleman, the Chief Information Officer at the U.S. General Services Administration.
One of the key elements is to coordinate really closely with procurement and finance and start early. We have instituted a practice of, in June, starting to meet monthly and then bi-weekly, and now we're in a routine of meeting weekly to review all the outstanding actions, review all of the end-of-year spending, and make sure that we're on track with everything. And that way you get ahead of rather than be reactive to the end-of-year rush. One of the things that we've done at GSA is to set up a program management office that is responsible for making sure that all of our projects are reported on consistently. And by doing that, we have a consistent methodology, we have a consistent set of eyes looking across all of the different projects. This PMO coordinates really tightly with our capital planning and with our enterprise architecture group, and it's a very tightly choreographed operation to make sure that the deliverables to OMB on all the budget documents have consistent standards of quality and consistent input from all the different stakeholders. I think one of the things that's a key success factor that we are just now starting to implement is the creation of a vendor management office to handle vendor relationships and sourcing in a strategic manner. At GSA, we have a decentralized IT organization, but we think that by centralizing the management of our interactions with industry, we can aggregate our purchases and get much better terms. We can be more consistent with our architectural standards, make sure we're adhering to the technologies that are standard for the agency. We can make sure that we have a real clear point of interaction with industry to give them clarity around how to interact with GSA in a successful manner. Another thing that we've done that has been very helpful is the creation of a zero-based budget. So this is our second year to do this. We start with our budget at zero and we build it up. We don't start with last year's budget and add some percentage or take away some percentage. So we individually build up each element so we know exactly where every dollar is going. And over the course of the year we can make those adjustments because we prioritize those initiatives against that budget. There's all sorts of risks, and some of them are even bigger than the federal government. Think about technology disruptions that have occurred over the last few years. We weren't even talking about mobile 2 or 3 years ago, and now it is front and center to our strategy, as with many other agencies. So to some extent there are going to be things that occur that you can't anticipate or plan for, but you can structure your planning in such a way that it's responsive and agile. One of the things that we've done is really rely on cloud-based platforms, cloud-based solutions, and that allows us to grow and to shrink our investment and to tap into new capabilities as they come along, so we don't have to be locked into a fixed data center investment that we may or may not use. The use of the cloud gives us the ability to very quickly respond when circumstances change. We can develop in an agile fashion, so our developments within those cloud platforms can be rolled out quickly, within a matter of weeks or months, not years. I referred a moment ago to the vendor management office that we are in the process of creating. I think in general, strategic sourcing is a critical way to do more with less, because you still have the same demands for service. The mission doesn't change. The stakeholder requirements don't go away. So you need to find a way to be more productive with the resources that we have. And we think that by being more intentional, more thoughtful, more strategic with our sourcing, we can do more with less and still meet the requirements of our stakeholders and mission. I would start with governance. Governance is key to figuring out your priorities, to making decisions, to ensuring transparency and stakeholder buy-in. So I think it really starts with governance. At GSA, we have revitalized our senior-most governance body, the Investment Resources Board, the IRB. We relaunched it last year with a new charter that focused much more on strategic business priorities and less so tactical technology decision making. So we have an IT executive council of the IT leaders in the agency. They're responsible, I chair that executive council, so that the IRB is responsible for strategic business priorities and for setting the course that our portfolio needs to adopt to. The IT executive council responds to that prioritization with technology choices and investments that meet those needs. We feel like we have a fairly good capability in the area of mobile devices and the management and the securing of those mobile devices, the ability to serve applications from a cloud-based solution so that your users have access from anytime, anywhere, any device. I think the key next challenge for us is going to be mobile applications for our legacy investments. So it's one thing to have a mobile-enabled cloud platform for email. It's another thing to take your legacy system for procurement or finance or human resources, a system that's been in place for 10 or 20 years, and make that mobile-enabled. So we're looking very carefully at what elements of those applications you really need mobile access to. You may not need to manipulate a complicated spreadsheet on a mobile device, but maybe you do need the ability to approve a transaction or to give some okay to something in a workflow that's part of that feeder system. So those kind of things will shape our mobile application strategy and really be critical to our planning for the next year and beyond. Well, I mentioned earlier, start early, and I do think that's critical. It's the end of year will come upon you before you know it, because the summertime is a busy time. So we start planning for end of year in June. And again, I said we start with monthly, then bi-weekly, then weekly meetings with finance and procurement to try and get ahead of it. I think our zero-based budget has given us real clarity into where all the spending is occurring. We know what the various priorities are. If one item comes in lower than expected, we know where those funds can be applied appropriately for another item that's next in the priority queue. So with good planning and with getting ahead, with close relationships with the organizations that help ensure our success, you can put yourself in a position to finish up the year smoothly. In general, we're proud of GSA's progress in moving to cloud-based solutions. We have moved from an in-house email management system to a cloud-based email and collaboration system. We've moved to another system for workflow and for agency-wide collaboration for teams to work virtually across different geographical and organizational units. We are using a cloud-based mobile device management solution so that all of our mobile devices are tracked at all times. We know where they are. We can make sure they're patched and updated. We can make sure that they're using secure passwords. We can disable them and wipe them if they're lost or stolen. So that's a critical part of our mobile strategy. The next thing we'll be doing is replacing our in-house service desk system with a cloud-based ticketing system. That will help us save over $2 million a year from the maintenance of the in-house system. So those kinds of successes have helped us be more agile and helped us operate more cost effectively, and given us the understanding of how to go to the cloud in a way that's repeatable and robust, and we've shared those lessons with other agencies. It's been quite rewarding. Let me tell you a little bit about the journey that we've been on with GSA's IT Transformation Initiative. Starting back in 2005, we began the process of consolidating all of our commodity IT services, help desk, network management, email management of telecommunications and mobile devices and so forth, previously had been managed under 39 different agreements, 39 separate contracts, 15 different help desks. In 2007, we completed that consolidation. We immediately saved GSA $20 million, and since that time, GSA has had cost avoidance of over $100 million because of operating a nationwide program to manage those commodity services that everyone uses. The next chapter in that journey was in 2009, when we implemented some significant technology upgrades to improve our teleworking, to give people the improved cybersecurity, logging in with your GSA access card for two-factor authentication, to improve our ability to defend and protect our network. We upgraded Microsoft Office to a newer version. Several other initiatives, all in short order. We pushed out all of these different technology updates in a matter of weeks in the summer of 2009. And interestingly, although the technology deployment went successfully, the user adoption was challenging. And I think what we learned from that, as evidenced by our help desk ticket volume, is that people can take a lot of change if you prepare them, help them understand how to use it, and set up an environment where they can master and succeed the adoption of these new technologies. But with that first round in 2009, our help desk volume went up significantly, and then it never quite went down to the previous level. And what we learned from that is that people continued to have challenges with using so many new technologies all at once. So we took that information, we incorporated those lessons that we learned, and our next chapter in the IT transformation journey was our move to a cloud-based email platform in 2010. We replaced our in-house email system with a cloud-based solution. At the time, we were the first agency to completely move the entire agency to a cloud-based email collaboration platform. It was based on technology from Google. It was Google Apps for Government. In doing that, we really focused on the change management and on user adoption and on creating a culture where people were excited about the change and leaning forward and ready to adopt it. We, to give you a few examples, we did a lot of videos. We had strategic videos from our leadership explaining why this was important, what would be the differences in how we could accomplish our mission, and we had very short videos from end users about how do I do this, 30 seconds on how to solve this problem or use this feature. We created a training buddy system where everyone committed to go to training with a buddy. It created a culture where people felt like this was a community that was undergoing a change, and they were part of something bigger that was very exciting and very groundbreaking. We created a set of users who were early adopters, about 500 people, and we branded the change the drive to the cloud. And this was our drive to the cloud, and these 500 users were our pacers. They were driving the pace car and setting the pace for everyone else. And so those folks agreed to be champions and advocates. They gave us feedback about the training, and they helped us understand how our emails and communications were working or not working. So we refined our approach, and by the time we launched, we learned that in the early days, our help desk volume with people asking questions about the new system spiked up, but by the end of the second week, beginning of the third week, it was back down at a normal level, and ultimately has settled down at a level lower than our old email system questions. So what we learned from that is that change management really matters, and the proper kind of preparation really works. Now we've created a team that is responsible for change management and for user adoption across all of our new technology initiatives. We've since rolled out other new technologies, including a agency-wide collaboration system based on Salesforce's Chatter product. We've deployed WebEx for virtual web meetings to let us work virtually more effectively. We've rolled out voice over internet protocol telecommunications. And so in every case, we have a consistent way of approaching change management. We have a set of templates, we have communications experts. We have really started to focus on user adoption and the ability to quickly employ new technologies effectively, because at this point in 2012 and beyond, it's not about the technology. The technology is robust and generally is not the critical part of the deployment. It really is about how well it works for your end users to accomplish your agency's mission. And we feel like we're doing that in a way that's much more successful than